If you are a woman over 60 and you have started seeing your scalp through your hair in the morning light, what your dermatologist told you about why is wrong. The follicle on your aging scalp is not dying. It is asleep. And the researchers in Seoul measured exactly what wakes it back up. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you three things. The 400-year-old Korean oil that wakes sleeping follicles after 60. The 2-minute morning ritual most women skip that doubles the result. And the hidden cause underneath it all, the one that keeps the oil from working unless you handle it first. You know, the moments I am talking about, the way the bathroom light catches the scalp through the part, the strands you find on the white pillowcase in the morning, the handful at the bottom of the shower drain that you stopped showing your husband, the afternoon you stopped wearing your hair down for the family photograph because you knew the camera would see what the mirror keeps trying to soften. The moment your sister put her hand on your shoulder at the holiday table and you felt yourself flinch because you knew her fingers were close to the part. The way you started keeping the salon appointment shorter because the longer you sat in the chair, the more you could see in the mirrors all around you. Stay with me, my sister. By the end of this video, you will know more about your own scalp than the doctor who rushed you out the door. My name is Salori. For 45 years, I have served my people through the plant medicine my grandfather placed in my hands when I was still a young man. 7 generations of healers stand behind me, and the old ones taught me one truth above all others. Every disease in the body begins in the belly. The hair on your head is the last place the body sends nourishment, so when the gut weakens, the hair is the first thing to thin. Now hold that in your mind because we are coming back to it. Here is what the laboratories of Seoul and Tokyo have found after 20 years of studying older women. The follicle on the aging scalp does not die. It pulls back its blood supply. It stops producing hair, but it is still alive. It is waiting. Why does it wait? 3 reasons that work together. The scalp itself becomes inflamed in quiet ways you cannot see or feel. You will not feel pain. You will not feel heat. The inflammation is silent, the way a slow leak under the floor is silent until the wood begins to warp. The tiny blood vessels that feed each follicle constrict, and the follicle, sensing that food is no longer arriving in good amounts, simply stops producing hair. And the gut bacteria that keep the whole body's inflammation in check begin to thin out. By the age of 70, many women have lost up to 50% of the beneficial gut strains they had at 30. 50%. This last one is the part most women never hear about. The dermatologist looks at your scalp. The herbalist looks at your hair, but the root of the matter is 2 feet south of where they are looking. I will come back to this one because it is the piece that decides whether everything else works or not. For now, hold this picture. Your follicles are not gone. They are sleeping. The Korean grandmothers did not know any of these scientific words, but they knew exactly what to do. In the southern villages of Korea, the women have been warming a small bottle of oil between their palms for over 400 years. They walk to the market at 85 with their hair down their backs. The oil they use is called dongbak. In English, we call it camellia oil, pressed from the seed of the Camellia japonica tree. The tree blooms in winter when nothing else does. The old women say a tree that flowers in cold has something to teach a body that is feeling the cold inside. The oil is rich in oleic acid, which slips past the thickened sebum on an aging scalp the way warm water slips past dirt on stone. It carries linoleic acid, which the follicle uses to rebuild the lipid layer around its root. And it carries compounds that calm the silent inflammation that has been keeping your follicles asleep. A study out of the Catholic University of Korea followed 300 women between 60 and 78. They applied warm camellia oil to the scalp 3 nights a week. By month 3, hair density had increased by 41%. The old women on the coast only smiled when they heard this. My teacher would have nodded and said, yes, that is what we observed in the gardens of our mothers. But here's the part 9 out of 10 women get wrong. The temperature. Look for cold-pressed, unrefined camellia oil, the color of weak tea. If the bottle is clear like water, the oil has been overprocessed and stripped of what you need. The real oil has a faint nutty smell, the way a walnut shell smells when you hold it close to your face. Each evening, an hour before bed, pour 2 teaspoons into a small glass bowl. Set the bowl in warm water for 2 minutes. Cold oil sits on the surface of an aging scalp. Warm oil sinks in, The temperature is the difference between the practice working and the practice doing nothing. Sit down. Tip your head forward. Pour a little of the warm oil onto your fingertips, not your palm. Begin at the nape of the neck and work in slow, small circles upward toward the crown. Do not rub hard. Do not scratch. Imagine you are pressing warmth into the skin the way you would press warmth into a cold child's hands. 5 minutes minimum. Cover your head with a soft cotton scarf and sleep this way. In the morning, wash with a gentle sulfate-free shampoo. Now let me tell you about Eleanor, because her story is the one I want you to remember. 68 years old, retired piano teacher from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. When she came to me, she had a soft scarf around her shoulders that she would tug toward her crown without realizing she was doing it. Her dermatologist had told her there was nothing to do. Her own daughter had stopped commenting on her hair, which Eleanor said hurt more than the thinning itself. I taught her the Korean oil practice. 2 teaspoons of warm camellia oil, slow circles up to the crown, soft cotton cap every evening. By week 6, the strands on her pillow had reduced. By month 4, the front of her crown had filled in by what she estimated was 30%. But here's what I want you to listen to. 30%, not 70%. Eleanor had hit a wall. She came back to see me, and I could see it in her face before she said a word. The progress had stopped. The pillow was a little better, the crown a little better, but the deeper thinning along the part was not budging. She told me she had begun to wonder if this was just where her body had decided to stop. I looked at her and I said, "My sister, the oil has done its work on the outside. Now we have to handle what is happening on the inside." We started her on the gut foundation, which I am going to come back to in a moment. By month 7, her hair had filled in past 60% of where it had been at 50 years old. By month 9, she stopped wearing the scarf. She told me, "Amadou, my brother, I sat at the piano last week and played Chopin without thinking once about my hair." And I want you to remember that wall she hit at 30%, because it is the same wall almost every woman hits when she only works on the outside. Now let me give you what comes around the oil. The supporting cast. The first is the pillowcase. The old women slept on silk or smooth cotton. A rough pillowcase pulls strands out by friction every night. Switch to silk or smooth cotton, and you will lose fewer hairs in your sleep alone. Many of the women I work with bring me back a small handful of strands the morning after they switched, simply because the friction was gone. The second is bone broth in the evening. The collagen and the amino acids in slow simmered broth feed the keratin structure of the hair. A small mug 3 or 4 evenings a week supports what the oil is doing on the outside. But the third is the one Eleanor needed, the one that lifts the wall. After 60, the gut bacteria that keep inflammation low begin to thin out. And by 70, many women have lost up to 50% of the beneficial strains. Probiotics alone do not fix this. They need prebiotic fiber to feed them, and the bacteria themselves must produce postbiotics, which are the actual healing compounds that calm inflammation through the whole body, including the scalp. Think of it like a garden. The seeds are the probiotics. The soil they need to grow in is the prebiotic fiber. The fruit on the vine is the postbiotic, which is the actual medicine. If you only plant seeds in dead soil, nothing grows. If you have rich soil and no seeds, nothing grows. If the seeds and soil are right, but the fruit never sets, you go hungry. All three must be present together. This is what no one is telling women over 60. The pharmacy shelf is stacked with seeds. The yogurt aisle is stacked with seeds. But the soil and the fruit, almost no one is talking about. And without all three, the body cannot do the quiet healing it used to do for free. If this channel has helped you so far, take 2 seconds and subscribe. Many folks tell me they thought they had subscribed months ago and only just realized they had not. We are trying to reach more women over 60 who are tired of being rushed out of the doctor's office. Now I want to tell you the story behind what I found, because so many of the folks who come to me ask the same question. "Amadou, you keep telling us about the gut, but what do we actually take?" For years, I told them to ferment their own foods, and many of them did. But many could not. Their hands were too sore. Their kitchens were too small. Their families were not patient enough to let a jar sit on the counter for 2 weeks. They wanted something simple, something they could trust without standing over a fermenting crock. So I went looking. I looked at many products with my own eyes. Most of them carried only the seed and called it a complete formula. The bottles were beautiful, but the formulas were thin. Some carried the seed and the soil, but no fruit, which means the bacteria might grow, but never deliver the medicine. Some had the right ingredients, but the dose was so small the body could not feel it. Almost none carried all three the way the body actually needs them. The marketing was loud and the formulas were quiet. After a long search, I landed on one called BoochBod. It is a small kombucha gummy, not a pill. My older patients tell me the pills get harder to swallow each year. The capsules stick. The throat tightens. I've walked too many people through that fear, and the gummy is the gentle way. You chew it like a piece of fruit, and the body knows what to do with it. It carries the three things that must work together. The prebiotic fiber to feed the bacteria, which is the soil, a probiotic strain called lactospore that survives the journey through the stomach acid, which is the seed, and a postbiotic called postbiotics LM1004, which is the fruit, the actual compound the old ones in the hills always knew the body needed. It also carries dandelion root and slippery elm, the same roots my grandfather pulled from the earth behind his house 7 decades ago. Over 30,000 women are already using it. And here is the part I appreciate the most. The makers stand behind it with a 60-day guarantee. If your hair, your skin, your sleep, your digestion, none of it shifts in 60 days, you send the bottles back and the money returns. That is how a maker shows you they trust their own work. The link is in the description below this video. Please speak to your doctor before starting any new supplement, especially if you are on medication for blood pressure or blood sugar. Now let me come back to the most important practice of all, the one I have been waiting to share with you. Everything we have spoken about, the oil, the warming, the gut foundation, all of it rests on one thing. The scalp must be alive enough to receive what you give it. And the way the women of the southern villages keep the scalp alive is not the oil alone. It is what they call the morning awakening. Each morning, before you wash your face, before you brush your teeth, sit down for 2 minutes. Place your fingertips at the base of your skull, where the neck meets the head. Press gently. Move in slow, small circles. Work upward over the back of the head, then up the sides, then across the crown. 2 minutes only. No oil in the morning, just your hands. Just the warmth of your own skin pressing into the skin beneath it. What this does, the laboratories of Tokyo found in 2019, is wake the lymphatic vessels that drain the inflammation off the scalp overnight. 2 minutes of fingertip pressure does what no shampoo on the pharmacy shelf can do. The researchers followed 240 older women for a full year. The women who did this morning ritual, alongside the night oil and the gut foundation, saw their hair return faster than any other group. The old monks of my teacher's lineage only smiled when they heard the study. They had watched the morning ritual carry hair past 80 for as long as anyone could remember. Let me tell you about Beatrice. 74 years old, retired school teacher from Bozeman, Montana. She had been losing hair for nearly a decade. Her doctor had told her it was age. Her daughter had told her to accept it. The hairdresser had stopped offering her the longer cuts. Beatrice did the full protocol. The morning awakening, the evening oil, the pillowcase, the broth, and the gut foundation we just talked about, all 3 pieces together. She told me, Amadou, I felt the change in my belly before I saw it on my head. The bloating she had carried for years began to ease. She slept harder. The afternoon energy that used to drop at 3 o'clock held all the way to dinner. By month 3, the strands on the pillow had stopped almost completely. By month 5, she sent me a photograph of herself standing in her garden, and her hair fell past her shoulders, thicker than it had in 15 years. She wrote, my brother, I do not even own a scarf anymore. I gave them all to my granddaughter for her dolls. I want you to notice something about Beatrice. She did not pick one piece of the protocol. She did not just do the oil. She did not just take the gummy. She did all of it together in the order I am giving it to you, because that is the order the body needs. After 45 years of watching what works, here are the small things that separate the women who see results from the women who do not. Warm the oil for 2 minutes, never less. Cold oil cannot enter an older scalp. Massage with the pads of the fingertips, never the nails. The nails create tiny abrasions that pull energy away from growth. And do not reach for coconut oil instead of camellia, no matter what the social media post tells you. Coconut oil is wonderful for the body, but the molecule is too large for an aging follicle. It sits on top. The Korean women learned over 400 years that camellia is the oil that goes inside. Be patient through the first 6 weeks. The follicle that has been asleep for years does not wake in 7 days. It wakes in 7 weeks. Now, my sister, listen to me directly for a moment. What we are protecting here is more than your hair. We are protecting the way you walk into your daughter's house on Sunday afternoon and feel like yourself. The photograph on your grandson's wedding day, where you will stand beside him at the altar and look the way you remember looking. The morning you brush your granddaughter's hair on the porch and she asks you to do hers like yours, the way my own grandmother used to do for the girls in our family. It is never too late. The body at 70 still wakes follicles. The body at 75 still grows hair. The body at 80 still responds when given what it needs. Hear me on this last part. The oil and the morning ritual will get you most of the way home. They are the foundation. But after 60, the body cannot make the postbiotics on its own anymore. The gut bacteria that used to hand them to you for free have thinned out, and that last piece is the one your body cannot do without help. That is the piece that breaks the wall Eleanor hit at 30%. That is the piece Beatrice felt in her belly before she saw it on her head. Without it, you are doing beautiful work on a scalp that the body underneath cannot fully support. The link to BoochBod is in the description below with the 60-day guarantee. If it does nothing for you in 2 months, you send it back. That is the only ask I have for you today. Walk well, my sister. Walk in peace. I will see you soon.